I was talking at the beginning of the program about these new driver distraction road rules, and I'm all for reducing driver distraction. They come in the end of next month. But they're confusing. And good laws need to be simple laws that you can understand, they're logical, and you follow them. I spoke to Marcelo Vidales, who's head of road safety at the Department of Transport. But even then, he seemed to be struggling to clarify the new rules. One in particular concerning your telephone on the passenger seat baffled me, because on the rules it says, okay, you can use your phone through your Bluetooth, but it can't be visible or next to you. You can't put it on the seat. It has to be hidden away somewhere. And I took that up with the man from Vic Roads, head of road safety, Department of Transport, Marcelo Vidales. I have to have the mobile phone out of sight, is that right?
Yeah, you cannot have it on your lap. It has to be away on a pocket.
What about the passenger seat next to me? That's within sight. Can I have it there?
We don't want that device. We want that device away, somewhere where you're not looking to get distracted. Again, if you have a Bluetooth connection, you should be able to take that call as a full licensed driver without having to tap.
And where do I put the phone? Where do I have to put the phone legally?
Well, put it in the glove box, put it in your pocket. If there's a pouch that people are using, just basically not somewhere where you can actually get distracted by the device.
And if I don't do that, is that an offence?
It would be, yes.
How much would the fine be?
It's that's $555.
So I'm not even using the phone, but it's sitting on the seat next to me. That's an offence.
Well, again,
$500.
Well, the important thing here is about the interaction. We want those devices to, if it's a portable device like a phone, usually, again, that's what we're referring to, we want them to be put away so people are not distracted.
Yeah, and it's an offence not to put it away. What about an iPad or something? Does that have to be put in the boot as well?
Yeah, again, we encourage it. There's the back seat, out of sight, out of reach of obviously for you to interact with that device.
Okay, and it's a $500 fine if you don't.
Well, there's obviously the fines that take place. What we're finding, Neil, is that people, and you probably see this on the roads, are looking down at their phones because they're sitting on their lap. They're at hand's reach. They're interacting with them.
I can understand that, but I'm not using the phone. It's sitting, and this is what I do. I get into my car. I've got a Bluetooth system. I put the phone on the passenger seat so I remember it. It talks to the Bluetooth system, and I go nowhere near the phone. I only use the Bluetooth system. But you're telling me I could be fined $500 for having the phone sitting on the seat next to me.
Well, as you put it on the seat next to you, we encourage you to just put it on the console in the middle of between the seats or on the glove box.
But what's the difference in the console in the middle? I can still see it.
Well, it's unlikely that you'll be interacting with it and looking at any calls that are coming in.
But take my point, please. These are laws. These are things that barristers will go through and say, hang on, is there a loophole here? Now, I can't have it on the seat, but I can have it on the console.
Yeah. Again, Neil, our position here is to try to minimize trauma on our roads and really try to reduce.
But nobody's questioning that. Nobody's questioning that. But we have to understand the rules to follow them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Understand that, Neil. And look, again, it's something that the rules have been designed to actually minimize these issues, and we want to make sure that people are safe on our roads.
Okay, we all want to achieve that, but that's totally confusing. And one of the minders of the department called back and said, you'll only be fined for interacting with the phone on the passenger's seat. Well, hang on, if the bloke who's in charge of these doesn't understand it, or if it's that confused, what hope have the rest of us got? Brad Batten is Shadow Minister for Police. Good morning.
Good morning, Neil. How are you going?
I'm okay. Well, you're a former copper. How would you like to interpret these rules?
I can tell you, I was just listening to that, Neil, as you replayed all of that, and I know ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law, but if I did get charged with having my phone or interacting with my phone, the first thing I'd do is get that interview and play it in court and say, if Vic Roads don't understand how to implement these laws, what the conditions are, and how we can actually ensure police can police them, then I'm sure no magistrate or judge could actually fine you on them and it would be thrown out. That was an interview that was nothing more than confusing and highlights the fact that these laws have been rushed through. We understand, like you, Neil, our road tolls going up. We need to do things to act on it, but I think the money could be better invested in fixing roads across the state rather than bringing in laws that are confusing and no one will understand.
The other thing that puzzled me, you're allowed to touch a button on the phone if it's secured on the dashboard, but just touch it quickly, briefly. Define briefly, and if you're caught on a camera as it goes under a bridge, That's 1 minute in 1 second in time. That's not proving that you were doing it anything other than briefly, surely.
Yeah, I think the fear on that one is it's created a loophole for exactly as you said, for interacting on the phone when they've got those cameras. And the other side of that is more and more modern vehicles these days have those chargers where you can just, wireless chargers, you put your phone down, which are all in the centre console. You know, the Tesla's just underneath the Tesla charger. The Toyotas have them in the middle in the console where they're open and you can see them. So what are the rules on those? Are we not allowed to have them on there to charge now? I just think that the government and the Vic Roads need to go back, and before they let these rules become legislation or effective, I think they should review the timeline on it and ensure that they've got it right. Because, as I said, not only will Victorians not understand, as a former police officer, it'd be nearly impossible to police, and I wouldn't want to take the risk of taking them to court where you end up with definitions that people know they can get out through those loopholes in the future.
I got an email here from another former police officer who agrees with you. Farcical will tie up the courts, no convictions envisaged. Okay, so what do they need to do? What do they need to do? They've got to tighten them up, explain them, and then, I guess, promote them. Yeah,
first thing, though, Neil, is they've got to change the timeline because they've got too short a timeline now. So I'd actually say go back to the drawing board, work out what they are trying to achieve. If they're trying to achieve people not interacting with their phones, then put very basic and similar laws that say you can't interact with your phone while you're driving. So P-plates, it's already that. You can't interact with your phone. You can't talk to someone even on Bluetooth if you're a P-plater. They know exactly what they can and can't do. If you're going to create grey areas, then you've got to create ways for people to get out of it and ways for lawyers to find ways out of it. But if you want road safety, then have an education program on road safety. We've done it before. We've had TAC magnificent ads in the past which reduced our road toll. Rather than changing of legislation, maybe we need to go back to that to highlight what happens when your concentration's not on the road. And
if they really don't want you anywhere near your phone, you're required to travel with it in the boot.
That's always a pathway. Probably one I wouldn't support. I think with phones these days, they are our centrepiece. And I think, like myself, I have Waze as my sat-nav system, which runs through my phone, but I connect it up through Apple iPlay now. Most cars have that. I think you can put your phone in a position that you don't interact with it. But in saying that, it only takes, and I've done it, I did it in the city not long ago, all I was doing was quickly touching onto the phone. I looked back up and I was at a pedestrian crossing. It's so dangerous when your eyes are on the road and anything can happen. I was lucky nothing happened, but it doesn't take much, Neil. I think everybody's had those circumstances.
Yeah.
So we've just got to be very, as I say, to individual responsibility, be very cautious when you're on the road. You're driving a lethal weapon.
Thank you very much, Brad Batten, the Shadow Minister of Police, former police officer himself, which is why I asked him, how would you enforce it in the real world, in the practical world? How would you enforce it? Interesting, I sometimes drive,